Have I even been reading that he's the new Marc Marquez? I wouldn't, compare him to anybody else because he's Pedro Acosta. But for sure, there are a lot of expectation. I think it's going to be a big mission for all of us inside Pira Mobility. We understand the level of the rider, the commitment, and for sure, it's going to be very, very interesting. And the gas is definitely going to grow. And the two riders that we will have next year will be matching this, gas, get on the gas, young Spanish brand, bit crazy brand. So, I'm really, really looking forward. And I've been talking to Pedro a bit this week, not too much, because he wanted to stay focused on his championship. But he seems a very smart person. And outside of the performance that we all see on track every day, he's a very smart person. So I think there is a lot to expect from him. Otherwise here, we, as you said, Paul is fast here. Honestly, he's been fast. Still, he's not 100% recovered physically, and when it's hot like that, he's suffering. So we just have to wait and see how the last third of the race will be happening. Augusto did another Augusto race yesterday, I would say. He had a good start. He was P10 the first 2 laps, then lost a few positions, and then was lapping really consistently the same lap time than the guy who were in between 5 and 8. But what you lose during the first 3-4 laps, you never recover. So the mission is have a decent start and try to hang on there, push, and keep the pace, but this is easy to say, and I think everybody is saying the same to his riders. So now what I liked a lot yesterday was the victory from Alex Marquez, because nobody thought anybody could beat the two titans, Jorge Martin and Pecco Bagnaia, and he did it, and he broke away. So it means MotoGP is still very competitive. Anything can happen, anybody can be in front, and hopefully Augusto can shine here this afternoon, because after here we have only 2 races, and this is going to be the end of 23.
Hervé, always great to hear from you. Good luck this afternoon.
Thank you, Simon.
Yeah, thanks to Hervé Poncharal, thanks to Simon Crowfar down in pit lane. The pit lane will open in 45 seconds time for the riders to head out onto the grid. Just looking out of our commentary box window as it is starting to cloud over a little bit, but still plenty of blue sky up above us, so hopefully we will get away with a full dry MotoGP race. We can hear the crowd already are starting to make plenty of noise in the grandstand below us. The grass banks are starting to fill up as well. Everyone making sure that they get themselves plenty of shade here in what is still very, very hot conditions here in Sepang. And the heat is certainly being turned up in this MotoGP World Championship battle. Will this man be the new World Championship leader in around an hour and a quarter from now?
Just saw him on screens. A happy 25th birthday to Muni VR46 Ducati rider Marco Bezzecchi. Will it be indeed a happy birthday as Marco Bezzecchi tries to keep this a 3-rider showdown for MotoGP glory? Who will add their name, their plaque on the wonderful MotoGP World Championship winning tower? Marco Bezzecchi is a big ask. He's 83 points behind Bagnaia coming into this Petronas Grand Prix in Malaysia. Only 74 available in Qatar next weekend, and at our season finale in Valencia in 2 weeks' time. So Marco Bezzecchi could find himself ruled out of title contention in about an hour's time or so at the end of this 20-lap Petronas Grand Prix of Malaysia. As the riders then head out onto the grid, Pecco Bagnaia, the world champion, with the #1 plate fixed firmly on that factory Ducati. Will he retain the title? It's never been done before by a factory Ducati rider. Yesterday, of course, in the short, sharp burst of the Tito sprint over 10 laps, everybody went for the medium front, medium rear tyre. Will the extremely hot conditions, just popped out of our commentary box here in Sepang overlooking the start-finish straight, and it does feel like the hottest conditions of the weekend so far. Some of the cloud that's just enveloping this circuit about 50 kilometres south of Kuala Lumpur may be very welcome just to cool it down a notch. But will everybody go for the medium rear tyre? A few riders did feel like it had the endurance, it had the durability for the full 20 laps. But we saw Pecco Bagnaia certainly not particularly happy with his medium front yesterday, and a lot of locking, a lot of movement, certainly confidence sapping in the sprint for the world champion. So we'll keep a very close eye on some potential changes in these hot conditions here this afternoon.
Yes, Pecco Bagnaia might well be convinced to go a little bit harder with his tyres here today. Whatever happens, whether they go for the same tyres as yesterday or not, it will be a different kind of race. They expect a little bit more caution early on, a little bit more strategy involved. Of course, that was very much the story in Buriram, where Jorge Martin dare not go too fast in the early stages of the race, perhaps with the memories of Phillip Island fresh in his mind, but he didn't want to go too hard too soon and take life out of his tyres. It's all well and good to be fast at the start of the race, but you need to be fast at the end of it. And you do wonder whether that might bring the likes of this man, Enea Bastianini, who we're looking at from the rear-facing shot of Bagnaia, into play. Bastianini, so often a master of managing his rear tyre towards the end of a race. Of course, the big question for Bastianini is, if he's got the pace to win the race, will he be allowed to?
Well, will this be a shot that we'll see in the Grand Prix? Will Bastianini be sitting behind, acting as the perfect wingman for Pecco Bagnaia in the upcoming Grand Prix? Great to see so many Malaysian fans who flocked to this Sepang International Circuit. Bike and scooter parks looked packed to the rafters. This is always an incredibly tense part of the season, particularly for those closely involved, which certainly includes Ducati Lenovo team manager Davide Tardozzi, who always looks like he hasn't got many fingernails left. I'm sure he's biting them close to bone as Pecco Bagnaia comes to pole position. Let's get some pre-Malaysia Grand Prix thoughts from Davide, who joins Simon on the grid.
He does. Like I always say, Davide, I enjoy hearing your thoughts, what's going to happen, who's going to be there. Also, I'm curious, after Pecco had a little bit of a struggle towards the end yesterday, I mean, he was still great, but he didn't perform exactly how he wanted late on. I imagine you've done your homework overnight and made some possible changes. What do you expect?
Yeah, we make a small changement in the setup this morning that Pecco said that was good, but yesterday happens that after 5 laps he has a big drop on the front and he suffered a big chatter that doesn't allow him to enter the corner, and it was obvious that he was suffering some problems. It's obvious that yesterday he was able to recover the 3rd place, but while today, if it will happen again, it will be a big problem, because I think that it will be difficult to be on the 8-10 riders. I think that as yesterday it will be at least for Ducati and KTM fighting for the podium, maybe more. So it will be a very tough race.
Thank you, Davide.
Thank you.
It is going to be a tough race. A big demand, a big stress on the body and the brain in these excruciatingly hot conditions. They would have looked at the data, they would have analysed the telemetry overnight, and made what they hope are race-winning changes for world champion Pecco Bagnaia. Here's your starting grid then for the Petronas Grand Prix of Malaysia.
Bagnaia, Martin and Bastianini is your heavyweight front row, from Alex Marquez, Luca Marini and Marco Bezzecchi. Bezzecchi, of course, as Matt mentioned, celebrates his 25th birthday here today. On the 3rd row of the grid, we find the first of the factory KTMs. Brad Binder looking to overcome some of the problems with tyre grip that he had yesterday. Fabio Quartararo looking to overcome his tough first lap of yesterday from 8th. Maverick Vinales is 9th. Jack Miller starts 10th for Babbage Gianantonio and Joan Zarco. Alicia Spargo, who crashed 4 times on Friday, 13th from Augusto Fernandez and Frankie Morbidelli. Joan Mir, Paul Espargaro and Raul Fernandez on the 6th row of the grid. Miguel Oliveira 19th ahead of Marc Marquez, an equal low for him. P20 on the grid for the 8 times world champion. He has Taka Nakagami behind him, and a World Superbike field to the back row of the grid with reigning 2-time world champion Alvaro Bautista and Iker Lecuona back there.
Will anybody deviate from the medium rear tyre choice, which was the obvious and preferred pick over the half race distance in the sprint yesterday over 10 laps? What lies in store in terms of tyre choice? Always crucial here in the searing heat of Sepang. Let's get some thoughts from Michelin Motorsport manager Piero Talamasso, who joins Simon down on the grid.
He does. Piero, after listening to the riders' debriefs last night after the sprint half distance, it sounds like today's race is going to be a bit of a management race similar to Thailand. You know, can't go really hard from the start. Can you tell us your thoughts on that and what tyre choices there should be?
Yes, we expect that type of race, same as Thailand. So every rider is with a medium front and medium rear, same as yesterday. because with this combination they have the best feeling, good grip, but they have to manage about consistency. Today will be much harder compared to yesterday. Yesterday they can push it, but they already started to feel movement in the front, some drop in the rear. So at one moment, at the beginning of the race, in the middle or at the end, they have to manage a little bit. They cannot push through all the race. And then, then we'll see what happens at the end, but I think it will be a good race. Yesterday also they complained about tire pressure, tire temperature going up in the front, and actually it was not true. When we look at the data, this was not because of the tire pressure or temperature went up, but it was because the front compound is too soft for this condition. But today nobody want to go on the hard front because they prefer the feeling from the medium, so they have to manage. But again, yesterday problem was the soft compound in the front, and we see today because track condition is the same, it's 53, same as yesterday, so no big change. I hope they did some change on the bike.
Interesting stuff, Piero. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you, bye.
Thanks to Piero Taramasso, thanks to Simon Crafar. A special pre-race ceremony taking place in front of the main grandstand here from the Sepang youngsters. It's like a bit of a traditional Malay affair. Forward rolls on the tarmac, rather than me.
Long time since either of us could move like that.
Yeah, a very long time since I was able to move like that. Of course, we saw a spectacular pre-race show, didn't we, in Buid Up a couple of weeks ago. Piero Taramasso expects it to be another intense time management race. Well, if it's as good as Buid Up, we'll have more of the same. Yeah, bring it on. We remind you, 2 weeks ago in Thailand, we had the 4th closest Premier Class podium in history, the 7th closest top 10, the 2nd closest top 15, of course, which featured a certain South African star, Brad Binder, who is now, courtesy of his 3rd place in Thailand 2 weeks ago, South Africa's most successful Premier Class Grand Prix rider. Davide Tardozzi, the factory Ducati boss, he expects both Brad Binder and Jack Miller to feature prominently at the front of this Grand Prix. Well, let's hear the thoughts of their team manager, replicating factory racing boss Francesco Guidotti, who joins Simon.
Francesco, it's so good, I imagine especially for you, but so good to see Jack back, not only in qualifying, but the sprint race all the way. I'd love to hear what you think he can do today. He mentioned the different construction tyre feels better here after the heat ones. Also, can you tell us about Brad? Because what a job he did yesterday, and it sounded like he had a problem on the left side of the rear tyre. I can only imagine what he can do today without that problem.
About Jack, I mean, I was not worried. I know that Jack is like this, and I know how is the level of the competition here. So as soon as you are not perfect, of course you are in the back. But I was not worried. There was some reason behind, and he's fully committed. And yeah, this weekend so far he showed his potential. About Brad, we know him. He's a fighter, so. On the race, he's always trying to push as much as he can, and he adjusts also the lap time, the time attack, I mean. And yesterday he didn't have any special problem with the tire. He had some chattering and vibration here and there, and this morning we tried something that should fix it. So yeah, let's wait for the main race and enjoy.
One question more. Everyone's speaking, including Piero Taramasso, about having to manage tyres, not just the rear this time, but front.
Yeah, I mean, you have to manage everything. You have to be, the priority is to be fast for all the distance. Then the tire is only a part of the bike. It's not the race who saves more tire. The race is who is faster. So that's it. I mean, it's not a competition of tire, it's just a motorbike competition.
Thank you, and best of luck this afternoon.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Simon. Thanks to Francesco Guidotti. Brad Binder has had a strong weekend here, hasn't he? The 28-year-old South African. He was 3rd quickest yesterday morning. His 13th sprint at top 6 yesterday. As the Malaysian crowd, they're on their feet. That was some pre-race show, wasn't it, from the Sepang youngsters who are hanging around for the pre-race grid ceremony, as well as Davide Tardozzi. As a proper good old pre-race chat here, isn't it? This is a serious conversation and a half. I'd love to drop a microphone smack bang in the middle of this convo as Davide Tardozzi.
It's right to smile from Enea,
yes,
isn't it?
We could pretty much guess what this conversation is all about, isn't it? Of course, if you can maybe fight for the win, fight for the podium after such a difficult season, then go for it. But we also need you to think bigger picture, as he did so perfectly yesterday. Anyway, Pecco Bagnaia does win the World Championship by a couple of points. It'll be beers on Pecco for Bastianini. Of course, Enea Bastianini comes into this Malaysian Grand Prix with all kinds of outside noise and distraction to contend with, not only trying to get himself competitive again after an injury-hit campaign, but there's rumours that if Jorge Martin is crowned MotoGP World Champion this year, then Bastianini will be sacrificed in the factory Ducati team. He'll be pushed back to the Pramac squad, albeit on a full factory GP24, but he certainly will not be wanting to lose his factory rider status. This is an interesting conversation, isn't it? We've got Dorna boss Carlos Espeleta, son of Dorna CEO Carmelo Espeleta, having a chat there with Muni VR46 Ducati boss Pablo Nieto and Valentino Rossi's long-term right-hand man, Ucho Salucci. I just wonder if the name Luca Marini might have cropped up in that conversation.
Whether the name Fermin Aldeguer might have been hot on the heels of it as well. Let's get some early thoughts then on what we can expect from the Yamahas today. Both have looked quick this weekend. Fabio Quartararo 8th on the grid, Frankie Morbidelli 15th. Let's get the pre-race thoughts of Lynn Jarvis with Simon.
Yes, Lynn, as usual lately, it's been a tough weekend so far for Yamaha, but looking at their pace through practice and qualifying, looked really, really good. Like as good, pretty much as good as anyone out there. I'd love to know your thoughts. Is it possible for them to get through to a good position?
Well, we're making a strong proposal to Dorna at the moment to move the races to the morning, because we seem to be able to handle the mornings better than the afternoons. But no, jokes aside, yeah, the pace that we have is quite good. Our biggest problem is that we're unable to make that extra difference in the qualification, which means we always start on the back foot. And you saw what happened yesterday in the race with Fabio, where he is in the zoo at the first corner and maybe the third corner, and it's game over because it's so close, so competitive. It's difficult to make up time, because our other problem is top speed is okay, but we don't have the acceleration. So we can't arrive to use the benefit of being on the brakes. So I hope this race is more interesting. I hope Fabio gets a good start. Race pace, I think we're there, or more or less, but difficult to match, in my opinion, still with the top 3 or 4 Ducatis. You know, realistically, I don't see that happening.
Lynn, thank you very much for your time, as always. Good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Simon. Thanks to Lynn Jarvis. Brutally honest, as always. They are hopeful of top 6 potential, but certainly don't feel like they've got anything for the top quartet of Ducatis, which were so strong in the sprint yesterday, led by Alex Marquez. We'll keep close tabs, of course, on Jorge Martin and Pecco Bagnaia as the riders try to gather the shade. They've got the ice vests on. It is sizzling hot. It's searing hot here in Sepang. Jack Miller just sits down to take a breather alongside him. Johan Zarco as well, as we build up towards the always special pre-race grid ceremony here in Malaysia. Plenty of Aussie support in the grandstands for Jack Miller. There's a few South African flags there, a couple of Union Jacks, a couple of Scottish fans here as well. Of course, they'd have been happy 1 year ago when John McPhee won the Moto3 race. A late chat to French TV for Fabio Quartararo. Be hoping for a cleaner start today in the Grand Prix after his drama early on in the sprinters. We're going to pause now for the pre-race grid ceremony here at the Petronas Grand Prix of Malaysia.
Negaraku, tanah tumpahnya darahku, rakyat hidup bersatu dan maju, rahmat bahagia Tuhan kurniakan. Raja kita selamat bertahta. Rahmat bahagia Tuhan kurniakan, Raja kita selamat bertahta.
Beautifully done. That was a moving Malaysian national anthem here from Naeem Daniel. That's got the crowd on their feet and them getting full of anticipation and expectation, just as we are ahead of this 20-lap Grand Prix of Malaysia. What lies in store for the factory Aprilias? It's been a tough weekend for all 4 Aprilias so far this weekend. Is there a big boost coming in this upcoming Malaysian Grand Prix? Let's get the thoughts of their boss, Massimo Rivola, who joins Simon.
Massimo, it's been a tough weekend for Aprilia in general, not helped by those falls of Aleix, because his pace was good straight away as soon as you found the problem. But I'd really like to know what you expect going in today's race.
Yeah, well, not the weekend we were expecting, even if last year we didn't perform well at all, and this year we are actually much faster than last year, but it looks like everybody are much faster. Ducati seems to be really on a very strong pace. Was impressive in Yamaha on a free air, very, very fast. We saw in warm-up and also yesterday in free practice. I think that we are not so far away, but turn 1 and 2 are quite critical here. So if you exit in a good position, then you can stay in a good group. Otherwise, in the middle, in the pack is super difficult. The front tire gets a balloon and degradation is starting getting worse, and everything is not so easy. So let's see. Let's hope to have a good start. But the pace yesterday was not bad at all, really. So a bit of confidence, yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Massimo. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks to Massimo Rivola from Aprilia, as he so often does, particularly on this Asia Tour. Jorge Martin has admitted he's had his struggles in searing hot conditions. He comes to the grid very, very late. He's just been seeking sanctuary inside that Pramac Ducati garage. He's got the ice-cold towel draped over his head. Well, no question where that fan's allegiance lies. Best rider, Jorge Martin, number 89. Well, on so many occasions in 2023, he has lived up to top billing, he has lived up to the hype, he has been the best rider in MotoGP. Will things go his way this afternoon? And will he be MotoGP World Championship leader once again heading to Qatar next weekend? It was a short-lived affair when he won the sprint in Mandalika. He was at the summit of the MotoGP World Championship for just 24 hours when it all went horribly wrong in that Mandalika race, crashing out of a comfortable 3-second lead. And a few demons to exercise here as well in Malaysia. He was streaking away at the front of the Sepang Grand Prix 1 year ago, 1.2 seconds clear of that battle involving Bagnaia and Bastianini. When he fell off at turn 5, 1.2 seconds clear, looking so relaxed. Why wouldn't he? He's had great speed and pace all weekend, hasn't he? Alex Marquez, the big lift, the big confidence boost yesterday, of course, of the sprint win as well. It would not be a big surprise, Lewis, to find Alex Marquez walking out of Kuala Lumpur and heading to Qatar as the double winner of the Malaysian Grand Prix.
Well, both Pecco Bagnaia and Jorge Martin are almost expecting it. They think he's the favourite coming into this Grand Prix from the front of the second row. And of course, with so much on the line, so much at stake, the later we get into this season, of course, Alex Marquez has the luxury of having absolutely nothing to lose here this afternoon. He's not involved in any World Championship battle, although, of course, he has won a couple in Moto2 and Moto3 earlier in his career, including winning one here back in 2019. But will Bagnaia and Martin just have eyes for each other, particularly if either Bastianini, Alex Marquez or the KTMs get involved in this?
This does feel like one of the most tense pre-race atmospheres we've had so far in 2023. Kind of inevitable, really, when you think what is at stake. This is just about as high-pressure environment, a high-pressure scenario as it gets, as Pecco Bagnaia gets himself prepped, gets himself ready, starting from pole for the 7th time this season. Ducati on this golden run of 14 successive poles. What a Q2 it was yesterday for the Borgo Panigale factory. The first time in their history they've locked out the top 6 on the grid. That's the first time for a single manufacturer since Honda did it 25 years ago at Mugello, the Italian Grand Prix in 1998, a grid led by Repsol Honda star Mick Doohan. 4 times this year Ducati have locked out the sprint podium. They did it yesterday. Well, they locked out the top 4. Can they lock out the podium here this afternoon? But in what order will it be? BMW safety car powers away from the front of the grid. 5 minutes to race start here in Sepang.
11 points is the difference between Pecco Bagnaia and Jorge Martin. What will be the difference in an hour's time?
There are your 2 main title contenders then. It's Jorge Martin, second on the grid. There was no 6 consecutive sprint win for him yesterday, but second place behind the brilliant Alex Marquez saw him close to within 11 points of Pecco Bagnaia at the top of the championship. It's still very much advantage the factory Ducati man, who starts from pole position here, looking for back-to-back wins in what's going to be a crucial Malaysian Grand Prix.